Hello everyone, my name is Muhammad Daniel Ashraf, and our group we will be presenting about the respiratory system. So, what is it about? It will be about air pollution and its impact on the human respiratory system. As the saying goes, shared responsibility for a healthy environment. So here are our list of contents. We begin with introductions and then types of harmful air pollutants, role of alveoli in gas exchange, effect of particle matter PM on lungs, how to reduce air pollutions, high risk group for pollutant exposure, how air pollutants affect gas exchange, impact of fine particulate matter, prevention and protective measure, and also the conclusion. So here are our group's members, starting with myself, Muhammad Daniel Ashraf, and then Muhammad Adib Farisi, Nur Fatina, Nur Izati, and Shazrin Nazira. So, what is air pollution? Air pollution is more than just a dirty air. It's a serious biological hazard, and it's formed when toxins from our daily activities like driving and manufacturing mix into the atmosphere to create harmful gaseous pollutants. So, over the next few minutes, we will explore the direct link between these pollutants and the human respiratory system. We'll look at why the air we breathe is the foundation of our health and why keeping it clean is essential for a better future. So, let's get started, guys. So, why should we be worried? If you look at the icons here, from car exhaust and factory smoke to the burning of waste, you can see that we are surrounded by sources of toxins. This is concerning because the air is getting worse every single day. We aren't just talking about the dirty air, we are talking about substances that put our health at risk by attacking our respiratory systems. It affects how we feel, how we breathe, and how long we live. As the slide says, the message is simple. The only real solution is less pollution.
So, there are many types of harmful air pollutants. So, the first one is nitrogen dioxide, which is NO2. It is an irritant gas and highly reactive. So, it came from cigarette smoke or cooking with gas. So, we can find it in high concentration near busy roads. Next is ozone, O3. It forms at ground level. It is made of smoke and reaction between sunlight and other emissions. Next is the particulate matter, PM10 or PM2.5. It is extremely small solid particles and liquids suspended in air. So, for example, it came from motor vehicles, wood burning heaters, and also from the industry. Next, it is the carbon monoxide, CO. It is a poisonous gas that we can't see, taste, or smell. So, it came from outdoor heaters and barbecue stove with gasoline engines. The next one is sulfur dioxide, which is SO2. So it is a highly reactive gas with pungent irritating smell. It came from fossil fuel combustion, which is the power plant, and also the volcanic eruptions. And the last one will be toxic air pollutants. So, for example, gases like benzene, toluene, and even hydrogen chloride. So it came from particles and metals like asbestos and also mercury. Now, let's talk about the role of alveoli in gas exchange. So, alveoli is the tiny air sacs at the end of bronchioles, which is the tiny branches of air tube in lungs. Primary function of respiratory system is to take in oxygen and eliminate carbon dioxide. So, oxygen enters lungs to the alveoli, and the layers between capillary and alveoli is only one cell thick and close to each other. Thus, it helps the gases to diffuse through it easily. So, gas exchange occurs in millions of alveoli in lungs and capillaries. Inhaled oxygen moves from the alveoli to blood in capillaries, and carbon dioxide moves from blood in capillaries to the air in alveoli. So, you can see on the top left the diagram of alveoli in the lungs, and on the bottom left, we can see the gas exchange at the alveolus. So the red arrow shows how oxygen diffuses from alveoli to the blood capillary, and the blue arrows shows how carbon dioxide diffuses from blood capillary to the alveoli.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So now I will talk about effect of particulate matter or known as PM on lungs. So one of the factor of particulate matter on lungs is irritation on the airways. Particulate matter enter nose and lungs, causing the airways to become red, swollen and irritated. This lead our body system to have some reaction, such as the symptom is such as coughing, sore throat and discomfort when breathing. Other than that, it also reduces lung function. Fine particles, especially particulate matter that have size 2.5 nanometer, it travels deep into our lung and make it harder for oxygen to enter the bloodstream. This causes the shortness of breath and faster exhaustion. Other than that, inflammation in lung tissue, the lungs react to particulate matter as if it's harmful, triggering inflammation. Over time, this constant inflammation can damage lung cells. For number 4, it worsening the respiratory disease. People with asthma, bronchitis, or allergies may experience more frequent and severe attacks because of particulate matter that triggers their own physical respiratory system. This will cause them have a higher chance and have a big symptom of worse or maybe a chronic disease. And the last one is increased mucus production in their lungs, in their lungs also. The lungs produce more mucus to trap harmful particles, causing phlegm, coughing, and difficulty breathing. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So now I will talk about 2 health effects, which is long-term effects and short-term health effects. So for long-term health effects, the respiratory system will be aggravate asthma, chronic bronchitis, COPD, or known as chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, which is a chronic disease, and it's other than that, it's reduced lung function, pneumonia, lung cancer. That's for respiratory system in a long-term health effects. For short terms of health effects, it will irritation in the eye, sore eye, nose, throat, dry mouth, and tickly coughing. For asthma people, it will increase the attack in the lung problems, wheezing, and chest tightness. For people that have a good respiratory system, it will have some infection which cause them have a bronchitis, pneumonia, worsening of existing respiratory condition. For other parts, in the long term of health effects, we will have cardiovascular system, which increase risk of heart attacks, stroke, atherosclerosis, which is hardening of arteries, and irregular heartbeat and hypertension. For short-term heart effect, we will have heart problem, which is arrhythmias and increased blood pressure, which triggering heart attack, which are myocardial infarction. For the last one, for long-term health effect, it is nervous system, impaired cognition function, dementia, which is dementia is a Alzheimer, Parkinson symptom, headaches, dizziness, and potential damage for neurotoxin lead by lead and mercury. For short term of health effects, neurological or other effects, neurological, is headaches, dizziness, fatigue, nausea, and for vulnerable groups, children, elderly, will have a chronic condition, heart and lung disease, and it will affect their respiratory conditions. Hi everyone. So now we will talk about high-risk groups for pollutant exposure. Based on the Health Organization, there are 3 groups which have higher chance to have respiratory disease due to the high pollutant exposure. And one of them is children and infants. Why children and infants? This is because their lungs are still developing due to them, and they also breathe very fast. So they inhale more polluted air, and the more pollutant they inhale, the more sensitive their respiratory system. This causes them to have a respiratory irritation. Other than that, people with the respiratory disease, such as people who have asthma, chronic bronchitis, and lung infection, people with the respiratory disease, they may have more chances to have chronic respiratory disease due to the pollutant exposure. People with the respiratory disease, respiratory problem, is because of pollution can easily trigger the respiratory system and attacks and worsening their symptom. And the last one is elderly people. Why elderly people? This is because weaker immune system because of the age factor. They have higher chances of having chronic disease due to the weaker immune system and respiratory problem. This may lead them to have heart disease, heart attack, all sort of the problem due to the pollutant exposure and their heart and their age. That's all.
So now we know that air pollutants are harmful for the human body, but how do it affect gas exchange? First, the reactive gases with air pollutants damage the airway and the alveolar lining. The epithelial cells in our bodies are injured and thin surfaces needed for diffusion are disrupted. Thus, the rate of gases exchange across the membrane is decreased. Next, the low solubility gases reach the alveoli and interfere with oxygen uptake. Gases like carbon dioxide penetrate deep into the lungs and enter the bloodstream. Carbon monoxide binds to hemoglobin in our blood and lowers the blood ability to carry oxygen throughout our body. Next, the irritation and inflammation of airways reduces airflow. Pollutants can cause mucus production, swelling, and narrowing of air passages. The amount of air that reaches the alveoli for gas exchange becomes limited. There are different types of particulate matter. For example, PM10 and PM2.5. PM refers to particulate matter. PM10 are particles with a size of less than 10 microns, while PM2.5 are finer particles with a size of less than 2.5 microns. PM10 impacts our bodies by causing nose, throat, and upper airways irritations. This can worsen respiratory conditions. PM2.5 also impacts the body by penetrating deeply into the lungs and can reach the alveoli easily. This can also mean that PM2.5 can enter the bloodstream.
Next, I will continue to the prevention and protective measure. First, we can use public transport. We can walk, bike, or carpool, or use public transport like buses, subways, light rail system, and commuter trains to reduce car use. Second, waste management also can prevent and protect our Earth from air pollution issue. For example, we can use 3R, reuse, reduce, and recycle to manage waste instead of burning wood and trash. Lastly, we can wear masks. We can wear a well-fitting N95 or N95 mask when we go outside in high polluted environment. To sum up, air pollution is a growing global challenge that threatens human health, the environment, and the future of our planet. Harmful gases in the atmosphere can cause respiratory disease, cardiovascular problems, and premature death. Beyond its impact on human health, air pollution also damages ecosystem, reduces biodiversity, and accelerates climate change, contributing to extreme weather events and declining air quality worldwide. These serious consequences highlight the urgent need to protect our environment and ensure a healthier future for the next generation. Although air pollution is a complex issue, collective effort and increased awareness can lead to meaningful change. Thank you.